right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Tonight, facing a judge, the man charged with causing the car accident that cost a Tennessee teenager her legs in court. And so were the victim's parents.
Those wild winds have settled down tonight, but another windy, wet weather maker is headed our way later this week when the next round of rain arrives.
But first tonight, a survivor's story.
Terrifying. I wouldn't wish this on nobody.
After a car accident that cost 4 people their lives and put 4 others in the hospital.
Tonight, one of the 4 people who survived that deadly car crash near the SLU campus is out of the hospital. Good evening, I'm Ann Allred.
And I'm Mike Bush. New tonight, our Robert Townsend talked to the young survivor about the nightmare he will never forget.
Every time I close my eyes, I see it.
Tears stream down 19-year-old Courtney McKinley's face. He's bruised, battered, and struggling to remember the scare of his life.
I came on my own. You gotta move it for me. I can't move it. It hurt. You can take this off it. You'll see my bone sticking up.
McKinley says early Sunday morning, he, his 20-year-old brother, Corntrell McKinley, and 6 of their friends were heading out to have fun. Courtney says he was driving his mother's Chevy Tahoe down Forest Park Avenue in Midtown when a car slammed into them. Police say traffic cameras show a driver in a Chevy Impala drove into the northbound lanes to go around traffic, ran a red light, and crashed into the westbound Tahoe.
Yeah, I was trapped.
He and the others were trapped after police say the Tahoe knocked out a guardrail, went airborne, and landed upside down on its roof on Forest Park.
Everybody yelling like, can y'all help us? Help us.
Courtney admits he wasn't wearing a seatbelt at the time of the crash. After the wreck, the injured driver crawled out the banged-up car. His brother and 3 friends all died. 3 other friends were injured.
Yeah, all of my people, like all of them. Crazy. I woke up in the hospital like, dang, it's really real.
Right now, you can see a big chunk of that guardrail is still missing as a result of that car crash. That as police search for the driver of the Chevy Impala. They tell us after the deadly crash, the man took off from this scene. City officials call Forest Park in South Grand one of the most dangerous intersections in the city.
People in critical condition, 4 young people lose their life. You know, I mean, traffic safety, that's important.
Man, I swear to God, I thought I was dying slowly.
Robert Townsend, 5 on Your Side.
Courtney McKinley suffered multiple injuries, including fractured ribs, a dislocated shoulder, cuts, and bruises. McKinley says only one of his friends remains in the hospital tonight. A live look now at City Park in St. Louis. The winds are dying down.
Tonight, we're no longer under a wind advisory, but strong wind gusts did cause damage around the area today. Hootie's Animal Rescue Haven, this is in St. Clair, Missouri, they lost the roof to the barn. No animals were harmed. Let's go to Creve Coeur. Look at this pillar. Strong winds knocked it down from the front of Cindy Guller's home. No one was hurt. Weather First Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell joins us now with what you can expect overnight and into the morning. Scott.
It's a lot quieter out there this evening. That's the good news that we have. Skies started clearing out this afternoon, and finally, as the sun set and this storm system began to move farther away from St. Louis, the winds eased. We haven't had a wind gust in St. Louis in the last couple of hours. Things are settling down much nicer at this point, but that's after we endured 9 hours of 40-plus mile-per-hour wind gusts in St. Louis. Temperatures are still above 50 degrees for many of us. Our peak wind in St. Louis today officially 52 miles per hour. Back in Columbia, the strongest gust was 61. So your weather headlines, much calmer overnight. We'll have a little bit of a breeze by tomorrow afternoon, but the wind's really settling down quite a bit. A couple of nice days are on the way, but windy and wet by late Thursday into Thursday night. Maybe some of us could see some snow Friday morning. More on that in a few minutes.
Scott, thanks. Tonight, the man accused of causing a horrific crash that led to a 17-year-old girl to lose both legs remains in jail. Today, a judge denied Daniel Riley's request for bond. It was an emotional hearing as the parents of 17-year-old Janae Edmondson spoke in court.
Our Laura Barczewski is live outside the courthouse tonight with more on those developments and the continued outpouring of support for this Tennessee teenager. Laura.
Mike and Ann, it was a really tough day for Janae Edmondson's parents as they once again pleaded with a judge not to let Daniel Riley out on bond. It was also tough for them explaining how she's doing right now and the difficult road ahead as St. Louis continues to rally support. On Monday, a St. Louis judge denied 21-year-old Daniel Riley's bond, citing previous bond violations as a reason they couldn't trust him to honor it this time. Our cameras were in the courtroom, and while we were unable to record audio, you can see Riley hanging his head while Janae Edmondson's parents talked about just how traumatic this has been after Riley crashed into her, causing her to lose her legs. The Edmondsons say Janae has been through 5 surgeries in 7 days, and there's a steel rod holding her pelvis together. She now knows she lost her legs and can no longer play volleyball the way she has for most of her life.
I mean, you don't ever expect tragic accidents like this to happen, let alone happen to somebody that was here on campus 2.5 weeks prior.
Janae was supposed to play college volleyball for UT Southern. Her future coach says they're still going to honor her scholarship and she'll still be part of their team.
This is an honor that she earned. It wasn't that we just gave it out to her to give it to her. She earned it and she worked for it. So to take something else away from her that doesn't deserve to be taken away from her just didn't seem right in our eyes.
314 Volleyball Club is also supporting her the best way they know how. With a purple practice.
We just all really love this sport, volleyball, and we feel like, we know that she really did too, and we hope that she can just, this support will help her recover to her daily life with passion and happiness.
They laced up in purple and made signs with encouraging messages for Janae.
Our volleyball teams are like our family.
The director of 314 Volleyball Club says her strength is inspiring.
We're just trying to continue to play the sport that she loved and to continue to provide support in any way possible.
A trial date for Daniel Riley has been set for April 3rd, and the support continues for Janae Edmondson on her GoFundMe. It surpassed $600,000. Reporting live in St. Louis, Laura Barcheski, 5 on your side.
New developments tonight in the legal battle to remove St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner for her office's handling of Daniel Riley's numerous bond violations before last week's tragic crash. Attorney General Andrew Bailey filed legal paperwork last week, and today a judge ordered Gardner to respond within 14 days. If she does not, there will be a judgment against her by default. For now, she will stay in office. Late today, the Attorney General filed an additional motion setting a videotaped deposition date for Gardner on April 14th.
Tonight, we're learning more about the suspect accused of killing one man and injuring a police officer before a 9-hour police standoff in the Metro East. Police say Reginald Allen was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound inside his garage on McBride Avenue in DuPont late last night. According to investigators, he shot and killed Daryl Mance.
They knew each other. They had worked together. It is still undetermined upon our investigation what the motive was.
Allen also shot a DuPont police officer in the shoulder. He remains in critical condition tonight. Allen was armed with an AR-15 rifle and had several felony charges on his record, including a reckless homicide conviction.
Tonight, a warning about a new drug epidemic. Xylazine, an animal tranquilizer, is now making its way through the illegal drug market.
It's so new that users don't know the dangers, and emergency workers struggle to treat people who've injected it. The I-Team's Paula Vassan learned it's crushing families. A warning, some of the images you're about to see are graphic.
There's a new drug creeping into our streets. It's called Xylazine.
It's some kind of horse tranquilizer. It can kill you instantly, and that's what happened to my son. I miss him. Don't ever get to hug him again.
All because of a drug getting into the black market. Xylazine is mixed with opioids like fentanyl and heroin, and it makes medications like Narcan, used to reverse opioid overdoses, less effective. We spoke with those impacted.
You can pull up at any gas station and they give it away.
Oh, yeah.
And parents like Kim Zidell, who buried her son Cody a couple of years ago in St. Louis.
It's affected my family. It can affect any family.
She thought Cody was healthy.
I still look at his Facebook. Got videos and everything with him. I just listen to his voice.
I jog for 7 miles straight every morning.
She was shocked to see his autopsy report. He died with the animal tranquilizer in his system, an overdose of fentanyl mixed with xylazine.
I was scared, shocked. I didn't know what to do.
Would you describe this as an epidemic?
Yes, an epidemic of poisoning.
And something Sarah Sotilli sees every day. She works here at Missouri Network in South St. Louis. It's a community center that tests the drugs people bring them, so they know what they're taking. Those ingredients are shared with law enforcement and first responders. The goal, to know what drugs are out there.
In the last year, we weren't really seeing it at all. In November of 2022, we've seen it in 100% of the samples we tested. In Baltimore and Philadelphia, they were seeing it in 80 to 90% of what they had tested as well. So it's nationwide at this point.
But the real spread of this drug is a mystery. That's because xylazine is so new in our illegal drug market. Testing and tracking haven't caught up. So it often goes unnoticed.
Is this destroying our community?
Yes.
The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration calls it a growing threat. Drug traffickers are mixing xylazine, an animal sedative, with opioids like fentanyl. Why? To make the high last longer and up their profit. And out here, it also makes the impact even more devastating.
It cuts off blood supply to the area where it's injected.
It leads to serious wounds. Some are so bad, we have to blur these pictures. They show exposed bone.
We're giving out wound care supplies at unprecedented rates.
Tim Jones tells the I-Team he's experienced xylazine. He found out his drugs were laced with it.
What does it feel like when you use it? What's the impact on you?
It takes about 20 minutes, but it's so extreme that you can't even hold your head up. And if you even did one more, you die. It's very dangerous.
It's a warning from those who lived through it.
But he still had a lot of life to live.
Yeah, he did.
And others who've lost someone they loved.
Don't experiment with things that you have no clue. There's drugs out there that will kill you instantly, and this is one of them.
If someone overdoses on opioids laced with xylazine, Narcan is still the best option. They may need more of it, and it's slower to work. Want to contact me about this story or other investigative tips? Email paula@ksdk.com. For the I-Team, Paula Vasan, 5 on your side.
If you're struggling with drug addiction, there are resources to help. Just text the word addiction to 314-425-5355, and we'll send you the phone number and a link to a national helpline.
Snap Scam. Tonight, the warning about crooks targeting those already needing a helping hand. Supermarket savings. Tonight, we're breaking down the products that will have you spending less without sacrificing taste.
Right now, our next big weather maker is creating a mess out west. When the wet weather returns to St. Louis, and why this one is a soaker.
Tonight, St. Louis police are investigating after a man was gunned down in broad daylight along a busy downtown street. The shooting happened on North Tucker near Lucas. This was around 10 o'clock this morning. A man in his 40s was shot in the head. Police tell us the shooting stemmed from a fight at a nearby gas station. No word on any arrests. Tonight, a man is behind bars accused of stealing a trailer from a Boy Scout troop. The trailer was stolen from outside a church in Maryland Heights on Valentine's Day. It contained the troop's Pinewood Derby track and a computer. Police tell us they recovered the trailer, but most of the contents inside were gone.
Tonight, a special Black History Month event at the Florissant Valley branch of the St. Louis County Library. It featured author Bobby Bostic. He was recently released on parole after spending more than 27 years in prison for an armed robbery he committed at the age of 16. Bostic wrote 8 books in prison, including his memoir, Time, Endless Moments in Prison.
Not in my wildest dreams as I sat in the cell with 241 years trying to get out of prison, dreaming of being a published author, dreaming of one day having my books in the library, dreaming of one day of writing this stuff while I was in solitary confinement, wishing the world could read my book. So I never dreamed that I would be here.
Bostic says his passion for reading helped him overcome a drug addiction while in prison. He even started a book club for his fellow inmates through the county library.
Tonight, a consumer alert for thousands of Missouri families who receive food assistance from the state. Scammers are calling and texting EBT cardholders, asking for personal information and even PIN numbers. The crooks then deplete those SNAP benefits. Missouri Social Services remind you they will never call or text you and ask for your personal information or PIN number. We're feeling the pains of inflation everywhere, especially at the grocery store.
One way to save money, buying store brands. Consumer Reports expert taste testers found saving doesn't have to come at the cost of taste. Looking to save money at the grocery store? Consumer Reports says leaving store brands on the shelf is a big mistake.
Store brands are almost always cheaper, sometimes up to 70%.
But saving money might not be worth it if the foods don't taste good. Consumer Reports expert tasters blind sampled pantry staples, comparing name brands to popular store brands. So can you fill your morning cereal bowl with a Honey Nut Cheerios knockoff that tastes close enough to the real thing but costs a lot less? Yes, if you reach for this box of Honey Nut O's from Walmart's Great Value brand, you'll save 67% per serving. What about the maple syrup on your pancakes?
We found that all the syrups we tested were of very good quality, but some were actually more expensive than the name brand by Butternut Mountain Farms.
The store brand organic maple syrup at Costco won't disappoint your taste buds or your wallet with a savings of 25%. And for you peanut butter lovers, spread on a PB&J brand from Aldi or Walmart and it will taste like sweet savings, about 50% less than Skippy. But CR's tasters say if you're a Skippy fan, skip store brand PB from Target and Dollar General. Both had less roasted peanut flavor. And speaking of nuts, for the price, testers said it's nuts how good these Costco extra fancy salted mixed nuts were. They were fresh tasting and had a good variety of nuts, and you'll save a lot of money over name brand Planters. And while Heinz tomato ketchup is beloved by kids and kids at heart everywhere, tasters found that ketchup by Aldi and Target was very good, and you'll save about 70% per serving. And both had 20 milligrams less sodium per serving than Heinz. Based on prices paid, Consumer Reports says they'd expect you to save the most by shopping for store brands at Costco, Aldi, Walmart, and Target. You'll save the least, they say, at Whole Foods.
Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell joining us now with the weather first forecast. Glad those winds are over, Scott.
Yeah, you know, today, if you were shopping, you probably saw a couple of shopping carts flying across the parking lot. Those winds were gusting above 50 miles per hour at times. And you know what? As the sun came back this afternoon, we kind of got invigorated in another surge of wind because we were mixing some of those high level winds back down once the sun popped out and we heated up. 52 mile per hour, that was the official gust at Lambert. St. Charles, 58 miles per hour for our top wind speed today. Rolla at 61. There were scattered power outages across the area. There are still some limited power outages, but most of the power has been turned back on. There are some low clouds in northeast Missouri, excuse me, into central portions of Illinois. But this whole system is lifting out, and it's really just to the north and northeast of St. Louis where you will flirt with that cloud cover during the overnight hours. It's 53 degrees right now. This is the good news. The winds have died down a lot, and they are not gusting like they were. Nowhere close. North-northwest wind, 13 miles per hour. We were up to 64 today. We have a new low temperature right now of 53. Upper 30s to lower 40s. We'll call it partly cloudy, really mostly clear south of St. Louis. Going north and northeast, the clouds tend to be a little bit thicker early tomorrow, but a good-looking Tuesday on the way. Working outside tomorrow, you won't have the winds like we saw today for sure. Listen, we've got some active weather out west. Very active jet stream through the Pacific, really plowing into the Pacific coast right now. They're measuring snow by the feet in the Sierra. This is our next weather system, and the key is going to be where it tracks. This is the setup for Thursday afternoon. Kind of give it the spread here as it pushes towards the bi-state region. We know it's going to be coming from this area of Texas and Oklahoma. If it takes more of a northern track, that puts us on the warmer side. Definitely all rain. Southern track, that could throw in the potential for some wet snow. One thing's for sure, it will be a drenching rain, 1 to maybe even more than 2 inches for some of us between Thursday night into Friday morning. really watch that rain increase here as we head into the evening hours on Thursday, heavy at times Thursday night. By early Friday morning, as this system passes by, if it does track in a position east and southeast of St. Louis, it could get cold enough for us to get some big, fat, wet snowflakes out of this, but temperatures are expected to stay above freezing. Ground temperatures are warm. Everything's fighting against this being a problem for us as far as snow goes. And here's the good news. As we head into the weekend, the skies clear out and City SC have a nice evening Saturday out there at the new field.
Yeah, that's good news. All right, Scott, thanks. And speaking of that, Frank is here with sports.
Mike, there are a lot of things wrong with the Blues. The goaltender is not one of them. I will explain next. Plus the Cardinals in Jupiter and a visit with Ricky Prohl.
The Sports Desk is brought to you by Jim Butler Chevrolet, the Midwest's #1 Chevy dealer, 10 years running.
I think it's important to not accept it.
This is the attitude you want from your goaltender. And despite this season going into the tank, I want to say one thing. Don't blame Jordan Binnington. Don't even think about it. He could call the Hush Blackwell law firm and sue the Blues for a lack of support. It's kind of amazing. As the team has gotten worse through trades and a lack of commitment, Binnington has gotten better. In the 5-game winless streak, he has started 4 of those games and has a .905 save percentage. He does have an unmistakable commitment to excellence.
You want to keep that high standard for yourself and that winning culture, and I think that's why it's important that every one of us, we commit to playing hard and working hard and every single day. It doesn't matter where we are, because over time I think it'll turn to our favor.
You've seen Jordan Binnington at his absolute best, but this version of him, this stretch, is this about as good as you've seen him?
Pretty close. I think he's really done a great job of handling everything.
Malkin moves in, toe drag, shoots, and Binnington makes the save. The rebound loose, and Binnington got a piece again.
I think for me personally, the mindset is just, fight till the end and just continue to try to evolve the best I can.
The Cardinals are playing baseball in Jupiter, but players are leaving now for the World Baseball Classic. Tommy Edman left for Korea today. Lars Nootbaar heads for Tokyo tomorrow. Cardinal broadcaster Mike Claiborne joins us tonight. And today it was the Cardinals hosting the Mets. This fella, Brendan Donovan, can hit a little, can he? 2-run homer in the second. He's 3 for 5 in the spring with 2 homers and 5 RBIs. Is that good? Hey, take a look at the future. This is Tink Hence, 20 years old, a starting pitcher who can throw in the upper 90s, and he can also do this. He had a scoreless inning today. Luken Baker is the Paul Bunyan of the Cardinals. Great power, had a 3-run bomb today. Cards win 12-7. Claibs on Donovan.
Frank, I'll tell you something. He is making contact on virtually everything. We saw last season where he didn't strike out a lot. He was nearly having more walks and strikeouts. This year, he is really locked in, making solid contact. He's not a guy that's going to strike out a lot for you, especially when he's up in the order. I'm really liking what I see with Brendan Donovan.
Austin Prohl and the Battlehawks have one more game before they get to play at home. And if there's anyone who understands that atmosphere, it's Austin's dad, Ricky. He lived it as a player, and now as a Battlehawk assistant, he can pass on knowledge of his craft. But he can't make them feel what he felt. They were guests on Sports Plus last night.
But there was no place louder than St. Louis when we were rolling back in early 2000. It was a huge advantage. It's a great place to play. All I can do is explain to these guys until they experience it in 2 weeks. It's the best, and I can't wait. I can't wait for these kids to experience it because it's going to be unbelievable.
Washington University's men's and women's basketball teams found out today they are tournament bound. The men will host their 4-team regional facing Coe College on Friday, while the women will meet Trine University out of Indiana in Dubuque, Iowa. Congrats also to Fontbonne. Their men's team will play at Wisconsin Oshkosh, and the Webster women are playing at Wisconsin Whitewater.
Exciting.
Yep, a lot of local teams making it to their respective
Frank,
tournaments.
just getting back to Donovan, I mean, this is a guy we know he can hit. We saw him hit last year. shouldn't he be in the lineup every day? Shouldn't he be the second baseman?
Well, Mike, he is going to be in the lineup every day. When you get on base 40% of the time, you play every day. I think it's going to be a lot at second base, maybe a little bit in the outfield, and when Arenado needs a break at third, he'll be at third. But you have to have this guy in the lineup. He's just sensational.
And so Gorman might be the DH every once in a while.
Left-handed DH and then get some time at second base. He's done some things with his swing, too. He's off to an impressive start. Remember, he hit 30 professional home runs last year as a 22-year-old. Cardinals got a lot of promising young talent.
All right, Frank, thanks very much. We'll be right back.
It's billed as the largest oyster festival in the Midwest. The Schlafly Stout and Oyster Festival is set to return March 24th and 25th. 20 star shuckers will shuck 80,000 fresh oysters. They're flown in overnight from both coasts. The festival will also feature 10 stouts and live music. Delicious.
Yes, and there you have it. 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
Jimmy's guest tonight, Gigi Hadid and Dierks Bentley. Start your day with Today in St. Louis beginning at 4 a.m. and have a great tomorrow.